y'all? It's your girl, Alesia.
And the number one, Bryan. There's many out there, but there's only one like me.
That is true. You guys, we are here with a reflections video. We are talking about relationship, loving, living, and laughing, you guys, and becoming one.
Yeah.
So today, we were asked a question a couple of weeks ago about long-distance relationships. And the question...
Of which we are in.
Yep, we are in a long-distance relationship.
I think it's long distance.
Yeah, it is. 2 hours.
135 miles from each other. So just to give you an idea.
Too long.
So you determine if that's long distance.
It is.
Yeah, it is for us. It's long distance.
I don't know, 10 miles is long distance for me.
No, it is. It is long distance.
It is.
I have to travel. Well, we share traveling.
He does most of the traveling.
Yeah, and then one day we'll talk about why I share most of the traveling.
Yeah.
Because in relationships, real quick, relationships is about fairness, not about being equal.
Exactly.
And in our case, it makes more sense for me to travel out here because she have her kids and all. Also, her responsibilities out here, home and everything, and I don't have those same responsibilities. So for her to come to my house, it takes her away from her kids and all that stuff, and she has to manage them from 135 miles. That's the quick explanation as to why I typically travel to see her where she stays.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I'm grateful that he makes a sacrifice because it's a lot of sacrifice that goes into that. Money, time, energy, like it's a lot of sacrifice. So I'm grateful.
But the cool thing about our relationship is like, it's resources that have to bounce around. It costs to date, it costs in many different ways, especially when it's long distance. But it's fair. Like we try to be very conscious to be fair in our relationship. Yeah. And that's important. I think one day we should do a video on the importance. Some people try to have relationships where it's equal. Yeah. And you can't just, with her, Alicia's gift and my gifts coming into the relationships are totally different.
That's right.
So sometimes it doesn't make much sense to try to be equal. You wash the dishes one day, or you cook, and I wash the dishes and I cook one day. Now that could work for some people. Yeah. But I don't always know if that works perfectly for most relationships. I think you just have to know and agree on a system that's fair moving forward.
That's right. So with that being said, we had a question that was posed to us about how we have and keep our long distance relationship strong and how we built such a solid foundation for our relationship. So I'm going to start by answering the how we built such a strong foundation for our relationship. It was communication, you guys. Communication. Talking. We talk a lot. We sit on the phone for hours, as you guys know. Before we went out on our first date, we talked a lot, and we lined out a lot of things that we had been through. We talked about how we wanted to see our relationship go, and we really didn't talk about what happened to us. We talked about what we did in relationships so that we can kind of get to know each other on a deeper level. So communication is the key. Communication, being open, and understanding one another, and having respect for one another, and having respect for one another's time. So I would say that's how we built this strong foundation, being long distance to kind of grow on. What would you say?
I'm going to talk a little bit as a man.
Go ahead.
Put a twist on it this time.
Go ahead.
So I'm gonna speak to the men. Where y'all at, men? Get in here. Get in here. So I'm gonna keep it real basic because most men are basic. Yeah. The one reason why and how the basis of keeping a strong relationship long distance as a man is that from the beginning I knew I liked Alicia. Like I knew, I don't know what it was. Was it chemistry? I didn't know much about her. Actually dating allows you to get to know why you want to be with somebody. But initially, I just genuinely liked Alicia. And I think as men, whenever you want something, you'll go through whatever it is that you have to go through. You'll climb whatever mountains you have to climb and go through whatever valleys you have to go through. And I'm not trying to over romanticize the whole process, like a knight in a shining armor kind of thing. Yeah. I'm just keeping it real. I believe when men know that they're interested, we go after what we want so intensely, and we typically don't allow things to just get in the way. For me, I feel like long distance wasn't enough to keep me from trying to date Alicia, because I felt initially that I was so grateful to have met somebody that was so initially just physically beautiful. And then after we communicated through text or inboxing and a little bit of conversation on the phone and all that stuff, I kind of knew I was super interested in really getting to know her more. And then when we hung out a couple of times, I knew long distance or 135 miles wasn't going to be enough to keep me from wanting to date her. So, I mean, like I said, I'm not an over romantic person. I'm not trying to do too much. I'm just saying, like, whenever you date a guy, if distance or some things that may initially make sense, but it doesn't make sense, get in the way, then you have to really think about whether or not this person genuinely likes you. And it's not a bad thing, because it takes time to kind of know if you like somebody. So dating allows you that time. But I think it's a good indicator if somebody just doesn't want to go through something that's inconveniencing for them to sacrifice to be with you. That may be something you may have to look at and take seriously. And I'm not saying because people won't do it or can't do it, because there's other situations or other factors that may prevent them from having the access or ability to get to you. But you could tell by your own individual situation. You could tell if they got a car or not, or whatever their resources are or circumstance, if it's reasonable to expect them to go that extent for you. And if they don't, and it seems very reasonable in your specific case, then I think you need to be honest with yourself and really assess it for what it is.
Exactly. And as women, a lot of times we can have like trust issues. You know, I know that in the beginning when we started talking, because we didn't go out for a while, we didn't go out on a date for a while, we talked for a while, and in talking it was like I was asking all those questions, like who is there, who have you talked to, who are you talking to, are they still around? You know, we have these trust issues, especially if you're coming out of situations where, you know, you've had, you know, been done wrong, or you even done wrong, you know what I'm saying, or you done the wrong. And it's like those trust issues are there. You have to be comfortable enough to talk about those trust issues. Like, lay it out on the table and say, listen, I have these issues. And if he really likes you, like he said, he will cater to that. And I'm not saying like cater to you, like bow down to you. No, not that. What I'm saying is he will try to, you know, soothe your insecurities. You know what I mean? Like, he will try to heal those insecurities and put forth a higher effort to show you that, listen, I'm not going to hurt you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to do these things. So you need to be on the lookout to see if he is trying to soothe your insecurities.
And then if you think about, did I cut you off?
They don't know.
Oh, no, if you really think about it, like, our videos are catered towards, like, dating 40 and over. And, I mean, anybody can be, I think we all can learn from each other no matter what our circumstance or age is. But in our case, we're over 40. She's months over 40. And I'm probably pushing more, looking at 45 more than anything. Well, I'm not even close there. But anyway, never mind.
We almost there.
But if you really think about it, like, when you date over 40, now we're not 20, but when you date over 40, like, you know how relationships work.
That's right.
You know, like, when you're 20, you don't really get a lot of things, and you're brand new at dating.
Yeah,
so
you haven't been through a lot.
After you've been 40, or, you know, after you've been through life, you know, like, insecurities build up.
Yep.
This is not your first relationship. And if you're dating properly and right, this is like you've ended every relationship prior to coming to this point.
Yep.
Unless something 100%. Else is going on. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, like there's things that cause those past relationships to end.
Yep.
And a lot of those things created a track of insecurity and you're going to bring all sorts of like things into the relationships that are perceived to be negative.
Yeah.
And so when you date over 40, you have to be realistic. Like, we're not clean slates. We're bringing in experiences. We're bringing in all sorts of things that may not be perceived to be things that you should welcome into your relationship, but they are there.
They're there.
And so when insecurities do come up and when things do start to come to the surface, like, you can't treat them like you can't treat those situations and that person like something is wrong with them. You have to have an element of understanding. Now, when those insecurities cause some type of like gross inability to kind of move forward, or if it just stumps you from being able to like really get past them, then you know that can be something that's this chronic kind of like issues that you can look at and determine if you can just move forward in a relationship. But for the most part, you have to be patient with building trust, especially when you know you're dating over 40 and everybody's bringing in all sorts of insecurities. And if you're open and fair and honest, then it's going to be a matter of time where those insecurities are going to dissipate. And that's where you really want to be. But initially, if you find that you're dating and you're experiencing many insecurities and many negativities, that's fine, because you have to allow yourself to date each other and to get to know each other. So there's going to be a lot of uncomfortable conversations and uncomfortable feelings initially.
And it should be, yeah.
But let those things come and then work through them. And if you guys are healthy, then you will get through them.
Yep.
But if you can't get past them, then you have to assess that for what it is too.
Yep.
You know, whether or not moving forward in this relationship is healthy for y'all.
Yep.
But don't run from tough conversations, and don't necessarily look at insecurities as a negative thing.
That's right.
In the initial phase of dating.
That's right, because you have to tackle those hard things, and it also helps you to see what you can deal with the person that you're dating, so you'll know what you have in the future when you come up against future conflicts. Like if you decide to get engaged and you decide to get married, then you've already went through, you know, how to work through conflicts. So lay that stuff out there on the line and actually deal with it. Another part of the question was, how do we maintain this strong foundation of a long distance relationship? And that's by making time for one another. You have to make time for one another. You have to make your relationship a priority.
Exactly.
So like over the weekends, that's when we date. That's when we talk. I mean, I know we have lives, we are individuals, and it's important that you keep your individuality. Like, it's very important. But we also, like, when we have our time, it's our time, and it's uninterrupted time. We try to just be together, hang out, talk, laugh, have a good time, do things that are fun, have those hard conversations that we need to have, whatever it is, you know, we just spend time together. So spending time is very, very, very important for having a strong foundation. So if you have a long distance relationship, try to figure out how it is that you can get together to spend time together. Now we have technology, so FaceTime and you know, Zoom and group chats and all of that is a great way to communicate, seeing, you know, each other face to face and hanging out together. So take advantage of that also when, you know, you may not, you know, just be able to get together. I know right now we're in this whole pandemic and it keeps people from dating, but you know, we have this technology where we can, you know, use it to our advantage and, you know, date and hang out and just try to see each other face to face and be in each other's presence. So it's very important. So make it a priority. Make it a priority to hang out with that person and be one-on-one, not social media to social media. Because sometimes we can sit there with our phones like,
hey, nice book.
It's me.
It's you.
But yeah, sometimes we can sit there with our phones and just, you know, go back and forth. But yeah, try to communicate and try to be, you know, open to being together one-on-one. It helps. It helps to keep the long distance relationship strong.
And the only thing I'll add, and I agree with you, is that when we first came into our relationship, we established from the start that we believed in the institution of marriage.
Yep.
Like, that was something, the institution in and of itself was something that we were genuinely looking forward to.
Yep.
Like, but the only thing is, we just separated the institution, believing that we knew what we wanted to be and what we wanted to bring into our lives based on God's guidance for us. But we knew it was a process that was separated from that. And ultimately, dating allowed us to really move forward, to trying to get at least date in a way where we can see if we are meant to be together long term through marriage, basically. And so I think that's one of the things that we kind of focused on, was putting a lot of time into just making sure that our values and the things that we felt were most important in dating lined up with what our ultimate goal wanted to be, so we wouldn't waste each other's time. Because like I said, we're dating 40 and over, and not every relationship that you build with the opposite sex has to lead to you marrying that person, but you just want to know where you stand in that relationship.
Exactly.
And if it's somebody that you genuinely see that you can move forward with beyond friendship, then you have to make sure those values and those goals and things like that kind of line up towards what your ultimate vision is for marriage. Otherwise, it's okay to have female friends in my case, or male friends in her case. It just wouldn't be that I would put those expectations or start to build our relationship and ask questions and deal with scenarios that would make us question whether or not, or kind of just see if we can be together in marriage, because you have to really dissect each other, because you're just not two individual people as friends. You're ultimately trying to see if you can become one. And like we mentioned earlier, you have to have your own individuality, and she has to have her own individuality, and we can't lose ourselves because we're adults. We can't lose ourselves in trying to blend a relationship. I have to see if I'm compatible to who she is, and she has to be compatible to who I am. And if God brought us together and built that compatibility, then that's one of the main ingredients to move forward in marriage.
And that's right. That's right. So with that being said, you guys, how we're building our strong foundation for a long distance relationship and how we're keeping it strong is communicating and trying to spend the time together, understanding one another, having respect for one another, and just being individuals and living and laughing and having fun.
And keeping the main priority. That's
right.
And you know, at our age, you know, like if you're looking for something serious. And I wouldn't recommend people say they're looking for something serious if they're not truly looking for something serious. But if this is, if your situation is something you're looking to build on into marriage, make sure one of the things to keep it strong is to focus and make sure you keep the priorities focused on moving in that direction. So if things don't work out, or if you don't feel that you are compatible enough to be in a relationship, you can sever that goal and ultimately be friends. And for some people, being friends is quite okay.
So to our loyal subscriber, I hope we answered your question.
One of the things that we ask is that if you have any questions you want us to try, not to answer, but just to give your opinion, because answering implies we know that we have the answer to your question, and we may not. But, you know, there's no right or wrong in relationships. Sometimes, in most cases, it's just really just, you know, how you manage whatever comes. It's really truly no right or wrong. But if you have any questions you want to ask, feel free to ask them. Maybe we'll talk about them. And if it's anything that you heard, whether it's something from us that either you agree with or don't agree with, feel free. It's an open forum to be honest and transparent about your thoughts. We will assess like our thoughts. We do look forward to input so that we can grow. And that's right. One of the main things we talked about is making sure that we use this platform not to monetize or do all these different things with it, but to have a different platform where we can find strength, not from just people we know who are in relationships, but strangers.
Yeah.
You know, you guys may have a source of information, or you guys may have something that you can add to making us a better couple, and we'd be more than happy to allow this to be a two-way interaction.
That's right.
We learn and build, just like we hope to help you learn and build based on our interactions.
That's right.
Knowledge.
That's right. So leave a comment down below if you guys have any questions that you would like for us to tackle. Also, make sure that you like and subscribe. Okay? And make sure that you share the video, you guys. Make sure that you share, okay? So, until next time, peace.